Enjoying the beautiful fall temperatures. I absolutely love the fall. It's my favorite time. My buddy here, Mr. Roner, is joining us. Thank you for your questions. And I have just a few announcements, and then I will get to the questions, and then we'll go from there. We are coming up on the end of the first quarter. That is ending very soon. I forgot what date I had. November. Oh, sorry. I just pulled it up and left it. Yes, November 3rd is the end of the first marking period. And so we're just encouraging all of our students to get all of those outstanding assignments in and check in with teachers just to make sure they're square for the first marking period. It can be a bit of a challenge to get there and turn around between the quarters. And so I just want to bring that to your attention. We have had a very busy month of October, starting with homecoming events, senior events, senior pictures, and then of course testing. That was a bit unusual for us to have that fall testing window. Yes, it was, and we're feeling the pain of it, but hopefully we were able to have our students sit and take the ELA, the MISA, and the math, those students who needed to take those tests for the graduation requirement. We are doing our makeup exams today, and I think we're doing primarily MISA today. That's correct, right, Mr. Roner? Yeah, so it has been just a busy month. And then on top of that, of course, we have our fall athletic competitions in full swing, and our programs are doing quite well. And our marching band, they're marching every Saturday and winning and having a great season as well. So we're in full swing here, and it's really great to see all of the students coming out in the respective areas that they're enjoying. And we have the fall play coming up as well. So lots of busyness, lots of activity here, and just we're just also try to make sure that we are tempering that with the academic piece and the stress management piece. So it's always a great time to check in with your kiddos and make sure they're managing all of their worlds as best as they can. But we've been very pleased with just everything we've been able to do in relation to this year and coming back and COVID and whatnot. So with that, I think I'll start with questions that came in early, and then we'll move from there. The first question came in about COVID and wanting to hear more details about what the numbers overall look like for Wooten for an MCPS since school started. That is a great question. I can talk to you specifically about the numbers here at Wooten in terms of the number of positive cases we have, because we send a letter out each time that we receive a positive case. We've had 12 positive cases so far. 13 positive cases so far this year. And, we continue to do our contact tracing. We continue to work with our students and our families if we are determining that they will need to go into quarantine. We know that MCP or Montgomery County has one of the highest vaccination rates in the country, which is really great. I think we're seeing, of course, the results of all of those efforts in terms of our positivity rate and what we're noticing in school. And of course, we're gearing up too for flu season, for, all of the things that will come with the fall and with the winter months. But so far, I have to say, our students are doing a really good job, continuing to do a really good job of mask wearing, continuing to do a good job of just having a lot of awareness around what their circumstances are, who they're around. And we certainly, appreciate partnering with you all. You all do an awesome job of letting us know if there's been an exposure and helping us to facilitate all that we have to do for COVID. In terms of MCPS and providing information, I have passed that along to MCPS just to ask for a more comprehensive look at what the numbers are and globally and what it means. I don't have that information here. But I certainly have asked MCPS and said that that is a request from here to get more specific information and updated information regarding that. So that's where we are. Again, we're navigating different and strange times. And so we just continue to try the best we can to make sure that everyone is safe and we understand taking those preventive measures to ensure that we're doing the best we can, keeping our kids in school and keeping them safe. Then there was a question about marching band. Miss Eckerly, not the usual marching band leader, and someone else will be leading next year. I don't know where that came from. I don't think that's true. And I haven't heard anything to that. I know Miss Herman and Miss Eckerly, they share the responsibility. So maybe they're doing some sort of shift there internally, but I think our team is back. And if there's anything that comes of that, I'll let you know. But they do a great job. So I think we're in good shape for next year as well. Then there was a question about lockers. Son's backpack is occasionally heavy due to desire need to bring a large textbook. Would be great to have a locker to store textbook or extra sweatshirt. We have lockers. They are really underutilized here at Wooten for various reasons. And so, but if a student wants a locker, they are available. They just need to go to Ms. Walsh, our financial specialist, and they will get a lock. They will get a locker. We'll try to situate it close to their classes or whatever their routine is so that they can put their stuff in and get it at ease. So just have your son go to Miss Walsh and we'll have a locker. We've not banned lockers because of COVID or anything like that. If you're joining us, hello, nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us today. All right, and then there was a question, regarding our recent discussion around health and the mental health panelists. And it was a great panel on Tuesday. If you missed it, we had just wonderful expertise and we talked about vaccinations and COVID, but it really went into overall wellness for our students and what are we doing to support them and how we continue to support them. And Maria, since you're here and you asked the question, I was just going to ask you to unmute if you wanted to get this discussion going. It seemed like a larger question and just more of a discussion that you wrote in with.
Yeah, sorry. I know I went off on paragraphs. So I guess I putting it in the opposite order of how I I put them. First off, with the discussions that have gone on with the panelists and with the students opening up the past couple of days, is there going to be follow-up support for any of the children that feel vulnerable after discussing so many sensitive topics? And then also, I know I put 3 questions in there, but also I am still, concerned is not the right word. I know I put that in my email, but I am still, I don't know. It just raises a little bit of a red flag. When my child comes home and tells me how her peers are not getting, she does not say that they're not getting it, but what I'm hearing is they're not getting it. The children are, is it okay? Did you want me to go into detail on this?
Oh, no, I can pick up from there if you want.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you're referring to study circles, and we had some students on Wednesday and Thursday participate in study circles, and it is a structured dialogue that we have about race and about awareness of who we are, and it's a great opportunity for students to get to know each other and to get to know our community at large. And so, yes, we do always have follow-up with students who participate in the study circles with our staff members if they're sharing some information that we want to make sure that we're supporting them through. We also look at the data coming out of that meeting just so that we can see what other supports we need to put into place or we should have in place for our students and for our staff. And so yes, there's definitely follow-up, and I think that part of what we're trying to do here always is make sure that we have a community in which we take care of each other, we look out for each other. And that's why all of these conversations are so incredibly important in that. And also to empower our students to have, voices and to have these dialogues and discussions with one another. And also, there are definitely times in our homeroom advisory where we're talking about, areas that how are we doing, that social emotional piece, and really, making sure that we're checking in with our students in that way as well. And always we have our counselors prepared, to work with students individually. And so, again, high school is a dynamic time for our students. They learn a lot, they grow a lot, and really we really want to support that. We want to support them in their journeys of who they are as, fabulous young people, and how they're growing up and everything. And so, and their best teachers are each other, and being able to share their experiences, being able to share who they are, and really, modeling that listening and seeking to understand who we are, so that we, have better, a better chance of becoming a community that takes care of one another. So that's really the aim of the circle. And we try to, we are fostering those conversations as well, through all of those mechanisms, study circles, and outside of that as well.
So, and I'm sorry to keep talking, but just a follow-up question. So will you continue to have them throughout the year? Because obviously it's benefiting the kids that need to discuss the sensitivities, vulnerabilities, feeling defeated. But also, I think the kids that aren't getting the message still, that they're on the other side of the fence, they need to hear the message still throughout the year over and over, because it sounds like some of them are not understanding how vulnerable and how sensitive these topics are.
Yeah, of course. We use our homeroom advisory. We have done study circles here for 7 years, and we'll continue to do them. So we've been in this for the long game. And we really do seek to our leaders, our student leaders, wellness warriors, a number of groups to help us to really think about, what is on the minds of our students, and how do we address that as a school community. So we continue to work through that and make sure that we are, make sure that we're giving those opportunities and that vehicle for discussion and for listening for our students. So we'll share some more information about how we wanted to. Our first priority was to make sure that all of our staff members participated in study circles first. And so we've done that, and that's why, it's been over 7 years, and we're going to continue to do that. And we turn to the students to ask, how else do we best get this opportunity out there for students to also have an opportunity to come into the study circles as well. Yeah, thank you for your question. It's I really appreciate it. And I'm glad they're going home and talking about, some of the things that they're doing here. I think that's really awesome. All right, Ms. Berman, I think you put in the chat, I saw something about COVID. Oh yes, I heard that with decreasing COVID positivity rates in Montgomery County, they may remove the indoor mask requirement if this occurs. Have you heard anything whether this will or won't apply to the schools? That's a great question. No, I haven't heard anything yet. And obviously, though, we take our lead from our county and state officials regarding those requirements. I heard the same thing. I was listening to the news just yesterday or day before, talking about the positivity rate in Montgomery County and how it's decreasing and what that means, the implications for mask wearing. But I am sure we will get some information shortly regarding what that would mean, the implications for that in the school. So hold on, I bet it's coming. Yes, so let's see. I think that those are all of the questions that came in, but please feel free to unmute yourselves or put a question in the chat, or if there's any other discussion you'd like to have this morning, I'm here. We're here. Oh, yes, great one. Can you please touch on the email that went out yesterday about increased security at sports events? Absolutely. So we have been seeing an uptick in some fighting and some other activities in some of our schools during athletic contests. I think you may have read about or heard in the news. I think there was something at Seneca Valley not too recently at some of the sporting events. And in response to that, and just out of abundance of caution, there have been discussions regarding the time of day and when some of the sporting events should take place in order to prevent some of what has been happening. I will say that from what my understanding of it, it is a small group of students who are small group of people. I don't know for sure that they're all students that are causing significant disruptions in some sporting events. And so the decision that was made was to perhaps move some of the sporting events up to earlier times, particularly if there's a rival school or something going on that requires additional supports, police support, central office supports, just to make sure that everyone is safe and able to actually come to the events and enjoy them. I will say that here at Wooten, we've had large events. We've been working with the students about sportsmanship and just conduct, not booing, not doing those kinds of things. But in terms of seeing an uptick of fighting or any of those kinds of things, we're not seeing that in the sporting events that we've had so far. We are definitely being very proactive. We have, of course, the administration, security always comes to the events, as well as our police partners are at our events, particularly really large events. But essentially, there have just been an uptick of behaviors that are inappropriate and difficult. And so MCPS is trying to respond with more supports to have the events go on, but also to make sure that everyone is safe. At this time, we have and the larger events really are the ones that, like a football game. There have been some other happenings in some other smaller arenas, but again, we have definitely made sure that we understand, the dynamics at play and making sure we're addressing any kind of behaviors from the very beginning, so that we can ward off any major concerns. But essentially, this is in response to some pretty difficult challenges for in our sporting events, and MCPS is responding by moving them time of day. And I've rambled a little bit there. I'm very sorry, but if there's any other questions about it, please let me know. All right, let's see. There is another question in the chat. Are you required to pass MISA to graduate? No, for right now, students are required to sit for MISA. They must take the test, but there isn't a pass rate at this time. And that is why it was so important that we test in October, because for ELA, the English language arts, the math, and the MISA, at this time, it is for students to sit. And we're also catching up because students did not sit for some of these exams for last year. So if your student is in the 9th grade, they're actually taking some of the 8th grade, the middle school requirements for MISA. It's rather confusing, but right now we're in a space where students need to sit for the exam and there isn't a passing score. We're waiting for the state to let us know when there will be a passing score.
So are they caught up on all the tests?
For now, yes. We will, yes, for the moment, we're caught up. We will have another large testing administration in the spring, and there is some makeup in January, but those are smaller populations, and some who did not test in the October window. And then in the spring window, those would be for students who are currently sitting in some of their math and English and government courses that would ordinarily test at the end of the year. Are we having fun yet? Testing fun, that is.
Sorry, that was my question. So you just have to sit for MISA, and you just have to sit. There's an English 10 test they're supposed to take. Is that?
Yes. So the English 10 tests will be for 10th grade students and at the end of their 10th grade year. Some of who took, Mr. Roner, do you know the ELA for this past administration? Now I'm getting confused. I think those were upperclassmen who had not sat for the 10th grade, for the ELA test that they usually take in 10th grade. So let me try that again. Current 10th graders will take the ELA in the spring.
What about juniors? Did they take them last year?
Juniors should have taken it in October, and they will take it again in January. We're going to catch all of the upperclassmen in October and January. And I will check on your
Is that the same thing for the NSL test? There's some NSL test. Right?
NSL will be in the spring. Okay. Yes, we did not test for NSL in this October testing. That'll be in the spring.
So if it's like a year after they've taken these tests, is that just sitting for it then, or is that like they have to pass it?
Right now, they're sitting for it.
Okay.
October and January. We're waiting for clarification for the spring.
Thank you. Sorry if that was confusing.
Oh, no, it's a little confusing. We have our cheat sheets here to figure out where we are with the state. And of course, they're also responding to COVID and all the ongoing pandemic. So sometimes they're changing the requirements. We will put on our website, I think we just got updated graduation requirements for each of the classes. And so we'll put those on our website. So it's clearer in terms of what those requirements are, because it will be different based on the original year of graduation for our students.
So I'm glad there's not really a pass fail for some of these, but what is the point of just sitting through an exam regardless of score then?
That is a great question. So in the past, it's been used for sometimes when they're introducing a new test, they'll have an opportunity to give it out, to do some range finding and to make sure that the test is valid and accurate. And other times it is and really also to collect data on how well the students are doing on the test, to figure out, again, the validity of the test. This year, it is a state requirement to have some, testing in place for as a graduation requirement. I think because of the disruption of COVID, it's taken a little bit longer for them to, be able to say there are scores associated. So essentially, we have to have the students sit for this test, and I'm not going to have a better answer than that.
And I get it's not on you. I was just curious. It seems like a lot of work for no real good reason, including you all, but I hear you.
And so we are hopefully able to use some of the data to see how our students are performing, and see if there are areas that we need to, use it in our teaching, but that's where we are.
Got it.
Okay, Miss Wright, you have your hand up.
I do, and I'm proud of myself for figuring out how to do that on Zoom.
Very good. Now, I would like a reaction after this. So you practice the hand raise. Next time, let's see how you do with reactions.
So my son is in 9th grade and he has one AP class. So speaking of the exams, I've received some emails about AP exams, signing up for it, and I'm under the impression his classroom teacher is helping him sign up and do those things. But if you can speak about, when are the AP exams? How frequent are they? Just a little bit more information would be helpful.
Excellent. Yes, great question. So the College Board, I would say maybe the year before or the year of when COVID hit, they've made some determinations in moving up the registration process and for paying for the exam. So currently, we are in the midst of having students go on and register for their AP exams, to pay for their AP exams. November 15th sounds familiar to me in terms of payment for exams, and we do that registration now. The students don't actually sit and take the exams until May. It is typically in the first 2 full weeks of May that students sit for the exam. The caveat to all of this, though, is that with the pandemic, that there have been, College Board has allowed for a number, like 3 testing windows, and the testing windows also align with if we're giving paper and pencil test or if the test is online. Last 2 years, we've done more of the tests virtually, and the students tested over the course of May. But essentially, AP exams are in the month of May. What we don't know yet is what type of tests our students will take. Prior to the pandemic, most of the tests, with the exception of languages and music, were pen and paper. And then, of course, with the pandemic, there were opportunities to have more online or virtual testing. And so we're waiting for that information to know what type of test students will take. But they will test in May, and sometimes because of other pieces that the makeups can sometimes go into late May, early June, but look forward to the test being in May. Right now, we're doing all of the preliminary work for it in registering students for the test, getting them on the AP site, paying for the test, and then they have the year to prepare, and they test it at the end of the year.
Okay, so just one follow-up then. Per class, is there just one exam or are there multiple exams?
So it depends on the class. So for example, we have AP macro and micro and economics, and that's 2 tests. So it really just depends on but for the most part, if your student is in AP NSL government, they're going to take the AP NSL government test.
So this is computer science, for example, and I don't expect you to know every one, but okay, so 1 to 2 exams maybe across. Okay,
absolutely.
Okay. All right, and I don't remember paying for anything, so now I may need to check, right? I don't know how do you process this payment if we're missing out on something.
Yeah, so there's an online store that we accept payments through the online store, and Mr. Mamana, he is in charge of testing. Joe Mamana, he's the 12th grade administrator, and he can certainly give you more information about it. And all of the kids have to sign up for the College Board site in order.
That happened. I wasn't sure about the payment. I'll follow up. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I see a hand from Miss Jocelyn.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So I wanted to ask a question about the PSAT tests.
Mm-hmm.
My son, he's in 10th grade and he didn't make it to take the PSAT test that happened in October. So do I just sign up and then he goes to the testing centers, or how does it work? I have no idea.
So the PSAT for 10th graders, that we give that 1 time per year. I don't know, honestly, if College Board offers it another time. I don't think they do. I think for 10th graders, the opportunity is to take it in school in October. However, I think it's more important that he takes it as an 11th grader because that is where we do the National Merit qualifying test. That's when it counts for that. And it also gives some information regarding where they are in terms of their preparation for the SAT. And so I believe that the PSA or PTSA, they offer mock testing so that if you wanted to get some more information regarding skill level at the end of 10th grade or during his 10th grade year. But in terms of offering the PSAT again this year, I think that opportunity has passed, but you could certainly check College Board to see if there's another opportunity. But in terms of the schools administering it, we have specific windows that we're able to do that. Thank you, Nikki. And Nikki put the mock testing in the chat just in case you wanted to take advantage of that.
Oh, okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm going to go back to some of the questions. Yeah, what is the purpose of all of these tests, MCAP, MISA, MAP? The purpose of all of the MCAP tests, it's a graduation requirement, and students must take statewide testing to ensure that, essentially to ensure that they've met the requirements in order to graduate from a state school. That is the purpose of all of those assessments. And yes, there are a lot. The MAP test, we use that to really help us with skills in classes and where they are doing really well and where there may be some areas for us to work skill wise. So that's part of why we're testing so much. And you hear the apology in my voice. There was a question about the MCPS website that lists SSL opportunities. Yes, on the MCPS website, I believe there's a really comprehensive list, and we also keep one for on our page. Our sponsor, our SSL coordinator, excuse me, is Mr. Christopher Thompson. And there is a on our website, an SSL link. You may find that the opportunities are not as robust as they've been in the past because we're still coming out of COVID and working towards some of our partners and making sure that they're able to do a lot of SSL in person. But I would get in touch with either Mr. Thompson, look on our website regarding SSL, and MCPS also has a website that's really helpful. Join late, there's a discussion in senior planning. Yes, I don't understand that all academic service cords and awards would be removed. That is not true. No, that's not true. I don't know where that came from, but that is certainly not true. We are continuing with cords and honors for our students, and we think that's really important. And so, no, that's not true. And let's see, a couple other, maybe a silly question. There are no silly questions, but should students study for the AP exam outside of classwork as well, or will the classes sufficiently prepare them? The classes are designed to prepare them for it. I taught AP Lit for a very long time. When we came close to the test, I would ask them to do specific assignments like book review so that they can really be able to answer, for example, the open-ended question. And we would do, reviews around the multiple choice, but that really is for review. And I know a lot of the teachers continue to give enrichment, if you will, to kind of remember over the arc of the entire school year, what they've studied and to focus in on areas. And so the AP courses, and the teachers do a really great job preparing them. But I also think that there is some work that should be done just to make sure that students are able to remember and to recall some of the wide range of work that they're doing over the course of the AP exam to be prepared for the test. But the teachers also do a really good job of providing additional supplements and saying, these are the kinds of things that we really need you to focus in on as well. And like I said, Nikki put the mock testing in the chat there, and also put, oh, thank you, Nikki, you're awesome. SSL website is also in the chat. All right, so there are a few more hands up. Ms. Say?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. My daughter is a senior, and the question is about the AP exam. Sorry to go back to AP exam. If she registered now, but later on in May, and she decide not to take it, but still finish the grade okay, or in a good grade. Or if she decide take it, but not report, to the university she applied, are those options okay?
Those are.
Will she get refund or something?
Yes, those are all optional. So a student, because they are registering now, they may decide that they are not taking it. We hope that they would take it, but for various reasons, and they're narrowing down their school choices, and they may find that a school may not accept the credit and they decide not to take it. They can get a refund, yes. And they do not have to report the scores to their school. That is their choice to report the scores to the schools. And they can ask the teacher or go to the counselor, or, to make sure they're making an appropriate choice in terms of that AP exam, and how it connects to the specific college that they may be looking at, and what they would prefer to see, what they would prefer to have the students have in terms of the college exam. But you've defined it perfectly. Yes, students can get a refund if they decide there is a window that they have to decide that they're not going to take the test, or they could decide that they're going to take the test, but they're not going to report their scores.
Thank you. And also for the November 1st, the application for University of Maryland or some of the universities coming, right? So for their grade, isn't the first MP1 will be included, or no? I mean, it's not yet, right?
Correct. No, we report semester grades. We do not report marking period grades on the transcript. So we will send mid-year reports at the request of the schools and the students, but that will come after the semester ends. That's when we do mid-year reports.
Oh, when is that?
When the semester ends, January timeframe. That's when we'll send mid-year reports. Correct. But we do not, their quarter grades are not reflected on their transcripts.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Miss Aspbrenner, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
That is good enough. Close enough. Ashbrenner, yeah, it's not hard. Right?
Thank you.
So I had a question about the, I can't remember the exact name, but it's the Montgomery College early degree thing that for 11th and 12th graders. Do you know approximately how many kids from Wooten get into that program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this past year, you're talking about early college, because we have early college, which is a dual program where they're getting their associate's degree while also earning their high school diploma. That's the one, right?
The AA degree,
yeah. Absolutely. We're excited. We have approximately 32, 33 students this year. Every year, the number has increased. We started with, I think, 3 kids that pursued the associates and the early college option. This year, we're up to about 33 students who have elected to do that. And of course, there are spots available throughout the county. And I think that's around the approximate number for all of the schools, that they're up to 30 or 40 students from each school that's participating at this stage.
So do you know if in all the schools that participate, do they equally divide it between schools? Like, I'm curious as to the acceptance rate of the applications from Wooten and everything like that. Do you know, like, acceptance rate?
Yeah, I don't know those numbers. I can ask. From what I understand about the program, they're opening it up to as many students who want to do it and who are eligible to be part of it. So yeah, so I don't know, because of the way that it's because of the way that the administration of it, I think they are able to take more students, but I don't know if they cap it per school per se.
And then I think I forgot my question. I had one last question. I think I just forgot it. Oh, I remember now. Who decides? Is it strictly Montgomery College, or is MCPS involved in the decision making of who qualifies and who goes?
MCPS reviews the applicants. And I think that they're reviewing more for credit completion up until the point where they're accepted to early college. And yeah, so it is a centralized piece where they're reviewing the applications for early college.
Okay, thank you so much.
And we just have to make sure that they're meeting the requirements for the high school piece. So we give central office that information about our students to make sure that they've done their part.
Yeah, and the thing that concerns me most is one of the qualifications is be done with your SSL or nearly done with your SSL. And I mean, my son is like a third of the way done, but considering what we've had to deal with the last 2 years, I'm wondering if they're being a little less strict on that requirement, because it's hard with getting out there and getting SSL since we've been limited to what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to send me an email, I'm happy to ask that question specifically.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Golden.
You're welcome. All right, there were a few more questions that came in the chat. What is your recommendation for the early option for classes with Montgomery College? I think that it's a great program. So we have a dual enrollment program, and we have students who participate in taking 1 or 2 classes at Montgomery College to have that experience of the college, of being in college. And because of the pandemic, this is one of those silver linings, I think that they've started to reimagine the dual enrollment program. And so I think there's a lot more that's available for students to take college level courses while they're still in high school. I think that is an excellent program for students, and a great way to get a taste of college. So I highly recommend it. And there's another question, is who's a good candidate for the early college program, meaning someone who is looking to finish their undergrad early and enter the workforce earlier. Yes, I think that would be a person who's a great fit for it. I would also say someone who knows what it is that they want to do and want to get that associate's degree and begin to work early and to utilize that. I think financially the Montgomery College option is a great one, and being able to have this option to help financially with the cost of college, that's also a consideration for some of our students who apply for the early college program. But it's been a really great program for our students to explore options to get that degree, or for dual enrollment, just to have a taste of college before they set foot on a college campus. And so, we really have enjoyed the partnership. There's a lot that's happening with early college and dual enrollment, and sometimes it's hard for us to keep up, but essentially there are options for all students to access the Montgomery College programs and try them. And if that's something that your student is interested in, please reach out to the counselor to get some more information. And we will be doing more information about early college and dual enrollment. I think it can be kind of confusing, quite frankly. So we'll do a program through the counseling office to give more information. We also we're learning that if students are also involved in wanting to do the Edison programs, cosmetology, engineering, there are a lot of fabulous programs at Edison, and this open to primarily 9th and 10th graders. We'll be putting out some information soon about the Edison program, and if any of our students want to do that program as well, that's another option for students, and a really great option for students.
Golden, I would,
Yeah.
for the other people who are interested in the early college and the dual enrollment, they sent out letters for students that they feel qualify. So they're sending those letters out. But also, I had a hard time finding it on the site. I literally looked everywhere, and I ended up having to call. And it is on the MCPS site. If anybody wants to see what the requirements are, it's under, I don't know, I can't even remember what it's under, but it's under something like special programs high school.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I'll also send it out in my Connect Ed so that we can connect the dots here for early college, and a blurb about dual enrollment. I'm taking some notes, and I'll also put some information in there about Edison. And then can a student do the signature or AOIT program and participate in the early college program? That becomes a bit of a challenge, because early college program, the students are not on our campus. They are taking all of their courses at that point for early college at Montgomery College. And so some of our classes, because the programs, AOIT and the signature program, are embedded in the school day, they're just not physically here to do some of that work. They are able to participate in all of our extracurricular activities because they remain to be our students. So they do have access to that. But in terms of some of the school-specific programs, it just doesn't mesh in terms of their work over at the college, and that's where they report every day. All right, did I catch up from the chat? I'm really impressed with myself today to keep up with the chat, because that is not a strength, I'll tell you. So if there's
Is it the same as a virtual, the virtual middle college? We got a letter. I don't understand the difference between.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, we just got the same information about virtual middle college, and we're trying to understand that, and we'll push more information out regarding that program. It's not the same as the early college program, but I think it's a lead into the early college program. And oh, Miss Ashburner just unmuted, so I'm hoping you're going to help me out here.
Yeah, in my hour-long search for the information, I found a lot about the early middle is for 8th graders who want to take college level courses also. So it's not for someone who's already in high school, just as a FYI. It's middle schoolers.
Thank you.
That's what the middle is.
Thank you so much. Yes.
They want middle schoolers to take college level classes.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess.
And it's virtual too. I think just to give a taste of college.
I think it's for current 8th graders rising up to 9th grade. I think that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it did talk about 8th grade when I saw that word.
Yes, I know it was for 8th grade, but I'm not very clear on it yet, clearly. So I will get some clarification. And
so the other programs, you actually go to Montgomery College and take classes?
For the early college program, yes, the colleges are held, the classes are held on Montgomery College website, or I'm sorry, Montgomery College campus. Right now, our dual enrollment classes are held virtually because of the pandemic. And so we've not gone back to in-person for dual enrollment. And then I believe the 8th grade, the middle program, those are virtual classes as well. Okay, Miss Wright, I see your hand.
Thank you. So I just thought of this as I was hearing about AOIT. So my son joined AOIT as a 9th grader. And so I have to say, so I keep asking about what it entails at this point, and he's taking his regular class and he attends the homeroom for it. But I have not really seen much extracurricular information or other programs. And I realize it's early in the school year. Maybe it's a function of that. Again, just want to make sure we're not missing out on something, or is it designed a certain way for 9th graders as they grow? Yes. Just because I heard someone mention it, I figured I'd throw it out there.
Yes, thank you. So most of the work for 9th and 10th and about AOT is about taking the coursework, and it's embedded in their classes. There will be opportunities for internships and other pieces as they get older in 11th and 12th grade. But similar to the humanities signature program, in 9th and 10th grade particularly, we want students to come in to be part of the classes for those programs. There may be a field trip or two at some point. And then by 11th and 12th grade, there are more requirements as they become older and they're able to handle more of the responsibility of an internship, for example, over the summer, and some other opportunities for them. So there will be more components of it built in as they move through.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bolden, I had a question that came in that I'm going to put in the chat for you.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Let's see. For students with learning differences such as dyslexia, dysgraphia, ADHD, how is Wooten and MCPS adapting to meet these unique learning needs? Not all of these students are given IEPs, nor do IEPs really support the students in the ways they need. Does Wooten and MCPS, in your opinion, have the resources and faculty training to support these students? Thank you for that. Yes, so there are a few pieces, so part of what we try to do is to make sure we understand what the needs are specific to our students, whether there is a learning disability that we are trying to deal with, or if there's some, or if there's something else that's happening with our students. We always think it's important that we do a base level of universal learning design for our students, and making sure that there is accessibility, making sure there's differentiation in the class, making sure there are a lot of modes to be able to connect with our students. And so there is an expectation that we have, within our school, to make sure our needs are being met as a foundation, and then building up for there. Of course, we know that, all of our learners, they have different needs, and we want to make sure that we understand it. And sometimes we are using the IEP and 504 and screening process to really understand that, okay, these supports are being put in. However, we're still seeing that there is, some concern for a student, and we come to the table to figure out what other additional supports are needed. And sometimes it results in, in an IEP or 504. Other times there are other ways that we're learning, that best support the student. And in addition to that piece, I think the students also are pivotal in helping us to understand how they learn best and what works for them, in terms of, chunking material and other ways that we begin to really learn and find an appropriate way to make sure that we're leveling the playing field for our students, and they're able to access the work. I do think that we do a really great job here of supporting our students. Sometimes it takes us a while to figure out what exactly works. We share those resources and share all of that with all of the teachers and their team, and make sure that we have, like, if there are supplementals and other resources that we could use, particularly technology that helps to bridge some of that gap. And so it's very important to us and to me that if you are seeing, you're a really important part of the partnership. And so sometimes, we don't have a full picture of what's happening with a student. So of course, if you're seeing some struggles on your end with your student, please make sure you reach out to us and say, I'm noticing this. And so that we can begin to problem solve, and we can pinpoint and narrow down what supports would be appropriate. And I'm not sure if I've answered specifically. So if there's any more question about that, then please let me know. I see Ms. Gupta.
Hey, I had a quick question as to regarding the COVID policy. Like, if you find a teacher has had COVID or something, would the students in that class be notified?
So again, it's going to, we always come back to close contact. And if the teacher had exposure with the student for 15 minutes or more,
the wireless customer you called is not available at
they're not available at the moment. If they meet the threshold for close contact, in that case, yes, we do notify the students or the other staff members who were in close contact for that particular teacher. We handle it very similar to the student piece, because in the classroom, students, staff members should be masked the entire time, maintaining some social distance. And so we will, again, treat that similar to the way that we treat any other kind of looking for close contacts once we have a positive exposure.
So if they are in the same class, then that would not be considered a close contact?
Not necessarily.
So close contact would be considered if you are what, like
close contact
with them?
So if they're we look at if they're masked or unmasked, 3 or more feet apart, that 15 minutes. We also have to ask about vaccination status, if they're vaccinated or not vaccinated, when we're developing our close contact list. And so, so those are all of the pieces, that the components that we're looking at when we're determining whether or not, you know, if students in a class with a teacher who's tested positive would be quarantined, or yes, would be quarantined.
So is that based off the MCPS policy, or is it Wooten policy?
Oh no, this is the MCPS policy. And
okay.
Of course, we're following the lead from our state officials.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is it Dr. Nafki? Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for joining us the other night. That was awesome.
Oh, no, thank you. It was a pleasure to be a part of it. And it's not Dr. Nuffi, although I have relatives who would be very happy about that. My question is about after-school activities or clubs or extracurriculars in general. I have a 9th grader, and I am just trying to figure out what is your advice? Because we're trying to figure out how much to ease him into the rigorous workload versus how many clubs he takes, how many sports leagues he joins, or, you know, athletics after school. Like, what is sort of the right balance? And I know it's student dependent to some degree, right?
Yeah.
But I feel kind of like we're pushing him to do clubs, and he's like, I can't take any more work. But I'm just trying to make sure that we're prepping him to be college bound, and I know how the application process is here. So what's your advice?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I think that I think extracurriculars are just important in general. They open up our kids' worlds in so many ways, and friends and interest in developing all of that. I do think that there's quality over quantity. So depends on what activity students are wanting to participate and engage in. I would, you know, like if students are involved in, let's just say, the fall play, well, that is a pretty big time commitment. And that extracurricular would be probably suffice maybe for a 9th grader who has the full academic load and then looking for something really fun to do, and something that they enjoy doing. So and some of our clubs meet, you know, over the lunchtime. Some of them meet after school. Some of them are more active than others. I think it would just be a matter of, one, what is your son interested in? How much of a time commitment that club or activity will take? And in addition, what is that academic load looking like in terms of him coming home and doing work? So I'm not sure there's a magic number there, but I would say exposure to a couple of clubs, and it also can be seasonal, right? You know, you have students who really enjoy the fall sports, but not so much the winter, and they're looking for something else to do. And so I would maybe turn the question maybe a little bit and ask what, you know, he enjoys doing. Is there a club or organization he would like to get involved in and engaged in, and maybe chart out how much time homework is taking him, how much time the club it would possibly take, or the sporting event, or, you know, whatever it is, and really encourage starting, you know, with 1 or 2, and then seeing what that fit is, and if it makes sense for the schedule and for well-being, and then move from there. But you're right, there are a lot of variables. We have a lot of students who do a lot of things and keep up with their academics, and that's great. But you know, every child is a little different and an individual in terms of how much is too much. I think in 9th grade and 10th grade, and I just like for them to be exposed and to kind of, you know, try on a couple of hats and see which one feels good, and they like the fit of that. But there are some activities that just by nature of what they're doing will have more of a time commitment. Mr. Roner, you have anything you want to add to that one as a 10th grade administrator too?
where their passion is, and let them explore that passion. That's where I would say, and let them expand on the things that they are interested in so they can have fun with that too. I think you covered all that as well.
Yeah. Well, look at the time. It's already 10:03. Thank you all so much for joining this morning. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. I'm heading up to Towson to see our marching band play. I'm so excited about that. And I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining this morning. Take care. Woohoo, band is right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.